We'll show you Jammu and Kashmir now. Remember, because there is no Chief Minister there, we don't have questions and answers on people's perception about the performance of the state government and the Chief Minister and the opposition. I'll take you through the questions that we do have. Has your living standard improved in the last 1 year? The reason I'm showing you these questions is they'll give you a sense of how happy or unhappy the general people of Jammu and Kashmir are. So question number one, your living standard in the past 1 year. 32% saying it's improved, so 3 in 10 say it's getting better. 34% say it's the same, so again, about 3.5 in 10 say it's the same, and 25% say it's got worse. So the number of people who think they're doing better is higher than the number of people who think the situation's gotten worse. So that's one broad sense of how voters in Jammu and Kashmir perceive their positions at this moment. What about income? Is your income going up? Is your income going down? Income up, expenditure up, say 13%. Income is the same, expenditure up, say 30%. Income down, expenditure up. That's the problem category. Income is going down, expenditure going up, 38%. Income up, expenditure down, 2%. So basically, people think expenditure is going up, income going down, 38%. That is typically problematic for whoever is running the state. But remember, there is no one running the state. And therefore, it just shows that there is angst. There's general angst over there. What about expenses? So we dealt with income, let's deal with expenses. So those who say that expenses are up but they are manageable, 20%. Saying it's getting difficult to manage, difficult to manage, say 67%. Expenses have gone down, say only 5%. So again, price rise, expenses going up, pinching, 67%. What's the most important issue? The most important issue. Unemployment, say almost half the respondents, 47% say that unemployment is the number one issue. Rising prices is 17% and development is 11%. So the most important issue is unemployment at 47%. Now, I'll show you the Lok Sabha 24 numbers versus how things might be in a hypothetical Lok Sabha election at this moment. So that's coming up on your screen right now. The BJP won 2 seats, Jammu and Udhampur in the Lok Sabha elections. They hold on to those. The Congress blanked out across the state. They still blank out in the Lok Sabha context. The NC had 2. They'll continue to have 2. The PDP will pick up that 1 seat now in a Lok Sabha projection done by C-Voter. So this doesn't really tell our viewers very much. Yashwant, on the basis of the data that you have access to, if you were asked to directionally suggest what an assembly election in Jammu and Kashmir at this moment could look like, what's your answer?
I guess the trends are suggesting that once the 370 thing is done and dusted, people are now more focused on their day-to-day life, the problems, of unemployment, how to go about their lives. That is what they are focused on. Obviously, there is a very clear-cut division of the Valley and the Jammu, and the new delimitation. The Jammu seats have significantly, come almost at par with the Valley region. So that is one thing. I guess that just like Maharashtra, now that we can normally talk about Jammu and Kashmir as a state, Rajdeep, in that way, Congress,
not a state, still a union.
Still not. I'm just saying, in terms of assembly elections, yeah. I think Congress task is carved out very clear. They need to just somehow pull up 10, 15 seats out of the Jammu region. Because national
that's where
conference,
the alliance becomes very
that's
important.
why the alliance becomes important. Because national conference, I am somehow getting from the data, when you compare with the PDP, is clearly a much ahead in that race. And there would be a huge number of smaller independent candidates, in fray might be winning.
Which is the last point. Remember what happened in North Kashmir just now in the Lok Sabha?
Exactly.
Who won? Engineer Rashid.
Exactly.
Defeated Sajjad Lone and Omar Abdullah. And now a number of candidates who are not getting tickets from the NC or PDP are going to him. He's forged his own party. He's just applied to the court to be allowed to...
Exactly.
Sure. So therefore you have a situation possibly of the Valley getting split. Whether they come together post-poll is another matter. But the Valley getting split, Jammu also, there is no guarantee that the BJP is going to sweep.
It's largely...
Well, you know, the polarization that might happen in Kashmir, because see, when Engineer Rashid comes out, he will take a very sectarian position.
Sure.
You will see that competitively PDP and all, like this is what Shailaji was talking about.
Rashid Engineer will be a bowler who will be playing googly every day.
Yeah, so
it will be hard to hold the
I think
narrative
you've got a
there.
very complicated election, Raj Chengappa, if I'm right, in Jammu and Kashmir. Also, given delimitation, what it did to the balance of power between Jammu and Kashmir. There's no Ladakh this time. All of that changes the equation. We saw in the last time elections were there. A post-poll arrangement had to be found between Mufti Mohammad Saeed and Narendra Modi, which was, many believe, good for Kashmir. It built bridges between Jammu and the valley. Do you see that happening again? Is that the only way forward, in a way, that you're going to have to bring Jammu and the valley closer together?
You know, Rajdeep, Jammu and Kashmir is truly difficult to predict. I don't envy Yashwant's job in this, because the last time we had an assembly election was 2014. We haven't seen really people tested on the ground on this particular thing. We've seen the Lok Sabha, we saw the turnout. The world will be watching this election, let's be very clear. Though it is, you know, the people of, particularly the Valley, are not too happy that they're not an independent state as they were earlier. But if you take a look at what has happened post-delimitation, that's going to change some of the equations, as Yashwant had mentioned. Earlier, the Valley had a larger number of seats, so you could immediately decide who would win, and you needed a coalition partner. It sometimes would be the BJP, as we saw with the PDP in 2014, and you had the National Conference earlier with the Congress.
And the reserved seats for the scheduled tribe,
Right.
that hasn't happened.
So that dynamics is yet tested. So we are looking at, I think, from whatever we are seeing in the, if you take the Mood of the Nation poll, the national level things, there's a clear divide already over there. And certainly the NCP, the National Conference Party will gain a lot over there, because the PDP had the earlier chance in 2014. So that is one trend that's there. But as you had earlier said, it is not very clear that Jammu would go fully for the BJP as used to normally.
Well, you know, back in 1996, when we did the first opinion poll in Kashmir, and for the record, it was the first ever opinion poll ever done, election opinion poll ever done in Kashmir. Since then, I have been going back on Kashmir data again and again, because it's fascinating. Dil aur dimag ki ladai hai, because Kashmir ka issue bahut alag tha. For the first time, I'm looking at that the issues which were predominant even at that point of time, people had a livelihood issue, but at the same time, वो दिल की लड़ाई के ऊपर, दिमाग की लड़ाई के ऊपर दिल ज़्यादा काम करता था. Is this time, Rajdeep, I'm somehow sensing that the issue of Kashmir, as we think about it, somehow it is now getting on the back burner. Even though you will argue...
There is no way Engineer Rashid would have won if it was on the back burner. It was a protest vote. It was a protest vote. How can we say Article 370 and Kashmir identity is not an issue? How would someone like him win from jail?
I would like to point out that whenever you went to Kashmir,
I am talking about...
Whenever I went to Kashmir, the people are very hurt with what happened with this thing.
Yes.
So let us...
But what I'm
there is
trying
not
to
immediate
say,
reconciliation
it's
in this
now
process.
on the back burner that
No,
it
it's
is
not.
I don't
done.
agree. I don't agree.
I believe that
It's
it's
going
going
to
to
be there.
This is
an
where
issue.
Panditri has taken over. The data has its limitations, and frankly, in Jammu and Kashmir, our data is sketchy. I'd say watch out for alliance formation. If there is a strong alliance, the picture looks different. If they fight separately, it looks different. So therefore, alliance formation.
We don't even know, Rahul, what our old friend Ghulam Nabi Azad will do. Which way will Azad express his Azadi? You know, so there are lots of
The NC Congress alliance is
permutations.
coming
The
together.
NC Congress is coming together, but
NC
that will
Congress is
require the
coming
Congress to pull in votes from Jammu
region.
and the NC to consolidate.
Just simple
You see,
thing.
even the
how many
NC is...
seats Congress wins in
Jammu
Jammu,
will be
or
there.
how many others win in Kashmir Valley? That will decide
No,
the game
because you see, the NC is no longer necessarily going to sweep the valley. Those days are gone. The PDP is no longer the force that it once was. You've got other parties and independents emerge. And even in Jammu, you will have a much more competitive election, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Particularly when you have an election after 10 years. You know, the good news is, when you have election after 10 years, everybody wants to fight the election.
That's true.
You know, but what it also shows is that people aren't as unhappy as some people in the studio and elsewhere may believe. That they're saying that their condition has improved is 32%.
Right.
So, you know, there is obviously general angst, but the level of unhappiness is not acute, at least when it comes to economic issues. Obviously on the issue of political will and whether they get to affirm it is a different matter, but they're not terribly unhappy. That's what the data says.